What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to VG Basketball Takes, and today we're gonna be discussing the Russel Westbrook trade to the LA Lakers. Now, before I talk about this trade, I don't want to come off as a Russel Westbrook hater at all. I used to actually like Russel Westbrook as a player, but I'm just simply sharing my thoughts about this trade and how I think this trade will go. Now, before I talk about like the cons to the trade, I want to talk about the pros to the trade and what's good about the trade. And the first thing is that Russel Westbrook is a very good facilitator. Now, LeBron is the facilitator of the Lakers right now, but even LeBron needs breaks too. He's getting up there in age and he's starting to get more injured. So Westbrook can be like that backup facilitator for LeBron, or Russell can be the main facilitator for LeBron, and LeBron can kind of play like how he played on the Miami Heat and play more of a scorer and like defensive role. Also, the second good thing about having Russell Westbrook is that when LeBron and AD is out with injury, Russell can carry the load of the Lakers, just like he did on the OKC Thunder when KD left, and just like he did just last season or this past season he did with the Washington Wizards with Bradley Beal. Russell Westbrook is still a good player, minus his shooting and all. Russell Westbrook is still a very, very good player and who averages a triple-double like the last 3 or 4 seasons. He's still a very terrific player. Now, the third pro of this video is that Russell Westbrook is just a very good player. That's it. He's a very good player. He's a very good scorer, and he's a very good rebounder. He has great facilitation, and he's also good on the defensive side. For 6'3", he's also big too. He can also help on the bigger guards or like the bigger players in general, because he's so strong, and he has that like that never give up type of energy, you know. And he's a semi good scorer in my opinion. I'm not gonna say that he's a great scorer, but for what he does, he's a good scorer. Now the cons of this trade is that the main con is that they cannot shoot the ball. Last season or this past season, the Lakers were the 25th best three-point shooting team in the whole NBA, meaning that they were the 5th worst three-point shooting team in the whole NBA. And now they traded some of their shooting and KCP and a little bit of their shooting with Kuzma. Now they become even worse shooters by adding Russel Westbrook, who, I mind you, averaged a 31% from the three-pointer just last year. That's the biggest flaw of the Lakers right now in general, because their best statistical three-point shooter is Marc Gasol. But it's not like he's like a young player. No, he's very old. He's 36 already, and he's not the same Marc Gasol that we saw on the Memphis Grizzlies or even the Toronto Raptors, you know. So him being depending on him to be your best three-point shooter, or him being your best three-point shooter in general, is very bad. Now, I'm not saying that AD and LeBron are terrible three-point shooters. Of course not, right? But you still need a catch-and-shoot player that's a sharpshooter. A player like Danny Green or a player like Mikal Bridges or Buddy Hield. You need a shooter on your team that is very consistent, not an inconsistent shooter. LeBron's a good three-point shooter for how LeBron plays. He averaged 36% from the three-point line, which is not like great, but it's still decent and good. You know what I'm saying? So having those type of players, or when I mean those type of players, I mean like sharpshooters in general, is very, very essential for your team to win. This team is mainly around the rim and mainly around the mid-range. AD is a good shooter, you know. He can shoot off the dribble, pull up, but he's not a good three-point shooter. Well, he's a decent three-point shooter. He's not like a consistently good three-point shooter. He has some nights where he does very well from the three-point line. He has some nights where he does very bad from the three-point line. This past season, he averaged like 29 or 28% from the three-point line this past season. And even from catch and shoot scenarios, he averaged only 28% from the 3-point line. They need to add more shooters, and it's reported that they're gonna go for Buddy Hield and they're gonna go for Rudy Gay and go for Melo. Either of those three, but you still need more shooters. The second con to this is the playoffs. Russell Westbrook is a very, to me, he's a very, very bad playoff performer because he's a star, so he takes a lot of shots, but most of those shots doesn't fall, which is due to his shot selection. But most of his shots doesn't fall. Simply put it, in the playoffs, he averaged 25% from the 3-point line, and from the field goal, he averaged only 33% from the field goal. Literally 2 years ago in the bubble, when the Houston Rockets played the LA Lakers, the Lakers were leaving him completely wide open, whether it was from the mid-range or the 3-point line. They literally knew he could not shoot, and they didn't believe he can shoot at all. Webber just needed to improve on his shot making and his shot selections in the playoffs. Hopefully AD doesn't have another bad year when he's not doing that good, because in the playoffs he actually did very good in the playoffs. For the short amount of time he played, he did very good before he got injured, of course, but he did very good. LeBron did very well. Well, he did decent. For LeBron standards, he probably didn't do too well, but for like just a normal play, he did very good. The third con, they need more depth. They need more depth, basically. They don't really have any depth. Their bench is atrocious. Cause I feel like they're gonna have to start THT, aka known as Taylor Horton Tucker. They're gonna have to start Taylor. And Taylor I don't think he's gonna take that leap next year. This is a perfect time for him to take a leap to help AD, LeBron, and Russell out, because you know LeBron getting old and Russell's not the best scorer. You know what I'm saying? So it's a perfect time for Taylor Horton to come out and ball like every fan expects him to. But at the same time, he's a bad shooter too. And then your bench is literally filled with like Alex Caruso. I think they're gonna bring back Andre Drummond. You know, Andre Drummond, he's gonna be your starting center. So that brings their starting five shooting is gonna be horrendous this year. Markieff Morris on the bench. I still think they have Wesley Matthews on the bench, and they possibly could bring in Mac McClung. They sent him to training camp this year because he didn't get drafted, but so they sent him to training camp to see how well he would do. They might bring him in, but yeah. Their bench is very, very, very horrendous. They don't have a good bench at all. And their starting five that they have right now cannot carry them to the finals. Like with the Nets. One problem about the Nets that we all thought that they had with their depth, right? But we didn't know how good their big three was. When you have Harden, KD, and Kyrie, who's all our shooters and they're very good scorers in general, especially in the playoffs, you don't need depth, you know? You can run like a 6-man or 7-man rotation. You don't need depth. But with this team, with LeBron aging, with Marc Gasol being old, with AD injury prone, with Russell is probably not going to perform the best in the playoffs, you need depth. And they don't have depth at all. So this season is going to be very, very interesting. I'm going to try to upload more videos in this off season and get my takes on like other situations, like the Ben Simmons situation in general, the Boston Celtics situation, because they got some very new pieces and yeah, stuff like that. But with that being said, this will be the end of the video. Like, comment, subscribe, check out my past videos if you haven't, and yeah, have a good day.